A single bowling pin costs about $3 to make and sells for 30. Multiply that by 60 million pins a year, and you've got one of the weirdest, most profitable corners of the lumber business in America. Most people never think about where bowling pins come from. They show up at the alley, they get knocked down, they stand back up. That's it. But behind every pin is a brutal little supply chain, hard maple from the Northeast, a factory full of CNC lathes, coatings tougher than your truck's bedliner, and a workforce of woodworkers and machine operators who keep the whole thing running. Today, we're walking through exactly how a tree becomes a bowling pin, who makes money at each step, and what those jobs actually pay. Bowling pins aren't made from pine, oak, or whatever's on sale. They're made from hard maple, specifically sugar maple, grown in the northern United States and Canada. New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Michigan, and Ontario do the heavy lifting. Why hard maple? Because a bowling ball weighs up to 16 pounds, hits the pin at about 17 miles per hour, and the pin has to survive that hit thousands of times. Hard maple has a Yanka hardness rating of around 1,450, meaning it takes 1,450 pounds of force to push a steel ball halfway into the wood. Pine clocks in at about 380. You'd be sweeping splinters off the lane all day. Loggers cutting maple for pin stock earn roughly $20 to $30 an hour in the Northeast, more if they own their own equipment. A skidder operator with his own machine can clear $80,000 to $120,000 a year if the weather cooperates and his back holds up. But here's the catch. Not every maple tree makes the cut. Pin manufacturers want clear, straight-grain wood with no knots, no rot, and no mineral streaks. That means only the best logs from the best trees get sold for pin blocks. The rest goes to flooring, furniture, or pallets. Once the logs hit the sawmill, they get cut into rough blocks, roughly 15 inches long, 5 inches square. These are called pin blanks, and they're the raw material the factory orders by the truckload. Sawmill workers in the Northeast pull down anywhere from $18 to $28 an hour. Head sawyers, the guys who decide how to cut each log to get the most usable wood out of it, can earn $30 to $40 an hour. It's skilled work. A bad call costs the mill real money on every log. The blanks then get kiln-dried for 2 to 4 weeks. Pin wood has to come down to about 6 to 8% moisture content. Too wet and the pin warps. Too dry and it cracks under impact. Kill operators run the show here, usually $22 to $30 an hour, with overtime stacked on top because kills don't sleep. Now we get to the real magic. There are only a handful of bowling pin factories left in North America, and the biggest produces over 1 million pins a year out of a single building. Here's the basic process. First, the blocks get glued. A bowling pin isn't carved from one solid piece anymore. It's laminated from 2 or 3 pieces of hard maple, bonded with heavy-duty industrial adhesive. The lamination actually makes the pin stronger and more consistent than solid wood. Less chance of splitting along a grain line. Second, the glued blanks head to the lathes. Modern factories use CNC lathes that spin the block at high speed while a computer-guided cutter shapes it. Old-school factories used manual duplicator lathes, one operator, one pin at a time, about 60 seconds per pin. Today's automated lines spit out a finished pin shape every 20 to 30 seconds. Machine operators on these lathes earn $19 to $28 an hour depending on the region and shift. Night shift usually pays a 10 to 15% differential. Maintenance techs, the guys who keep the CNCs running when they jam, snap a bit, or throw a code, make $25 to $40 an hour. In a factory where downtime costs hundreds of dollars a minute, those techs are worth every penny. Third, the rough pin gets sanded. Multiple stages, finer and finer grit, until the surface is smooth as glass. Then it gets weighed. Every regulation bowling pin has to weigh between 3 pounds 6 ounces and 3 pounds 10 ounces. Pins that miss the weight window get rejected, and that's money in the trash. A bare maple pin wouldn't last a week on a real bowling lane. The coating is where the engineering gets serious. Pins get a base coat, then a thick nylon or Surlyn plastic coating, the same kind of material used on golf ball covers. This coating is sprayed on, baked, and then machine sanded to spec. Then comes the paint. The redneck stripes, the brand logo, and a final clear coat for gloss and durability. A finished pin has to survive about 3,000 to 5,000 games before it's retired. That's tens of thousands of direct hits from a 16-pound ball. Coating line workers earn $18 to $25 an hour. It's hot, the fumes are real, and respirators are mandatory. Quality control inspectors, checking weight, balance, finish, and bounce, make $20 to $28 an hour. Every single pin gets dropped on a hard surface and listened to. A bad pin sounds wrong, like a cracked baseball bat. Trained ears catch it. Let's talk dollars. A finished, regulation bowling pin sells wholesale to bowling alleys for around $25 to $35. The raw material cost, wood, glue, coating, paint, runs about $8 to $12 per pin. Labor adds maybe $3 to $5. Overhead, machinery, energy, shipping, call it another $5. So the factory is netting somewhere in the ballpark of $5 to $10 per pin in profit. Multiply that across 1 million pins a year, and you're looking at a serious operation. The big U.S. manufacturer reportedly does over $30 million a year in revenue from pins alone. And the demand isn't going away. There are roughly 3,500 bowling centers in the United States, and each one has between 40 and 100 lanes. Every lane needs 10 pins. Pins wear out. Lanes get refreshed. New centers open overseas, especially in Asia. The pipeline keeps moving. So, why does any of this matter to a guy working construction, driving a truck, or running a welding rig? Because this is the kind of niche American manufacturing that still pays. Bowling pin factories aren't hiring online influencers. They're hiring CNC operators, machine maintenance techs, sawyers, kill operators, forklift drivers, and coating line workers. Same skills you'd use in a furniture factory, a flooring mill, or a cabinet shop. If you're already in woodworking or machine maintenance, factories like these are worth a look. They tend to be in smaller towns where cost of living is low and overtime is plentiful. A maintenance tech pulling 50 to 55 hours a week at $32 an hour clears around $90,000 a year in a town where rent might be $900. If you're thinking about getting into the trades, this is also a reminder. Every weird product you've ever used, bowling pins, baseball bats, hockey sticks, pool cues, comes out of a factory full of skilled hands. Machine operators, maintenance techs, wood finishers. Those skills travel. Learn them in one industry and you can take them to 20 others. If you got something out of this one, hit subscribe. We break down weird, profitable corners of the trades and blue-collar work every week. No fluff, no gurus, just real numbers and real jobs. Next up, we're going inside the factories that make wooden baseball bats, including how one guy with a lathe in his garage built a multi-million-dollar bat company supplying the major leagues. You'll want to see the margins on that one. Keep grinding. We'll see you on the next one.